right, guys, breaking news. I heard Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's homes got burglarized last month. I just want to set the record straight. Guys, it wasn't me. I have a perfectly good alibi. I was at my Taylor Swift fan club meeting, okay? Didn't do it.
Jason, last week we went 8-6 on the overall picks and 2-2 on your take it to the bank picks, and I'm sure we'll talk about a few of those ones because a couple of those were getting yipped by half a point. Or still, 10 weeks in, this is going to be the trend the entire season. It's just who knows what to expect from certain teams from game to game.
There's a lot of bad football out there, like literally a lot of bad football. It's a weird year. All these teams that were 2-7 or 2-6 or whatever, and it's a lot of bad football going into week 10, and it's...
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So we're going to be doing our, I guess now, annual live stream again, starting with the morning game, which I think you checked was 9.
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood.
We'll have the information up beforehand on our channel, so make sure you're subscribed so you get notifications, and you'll see our post about a week beforehand, letting you know when the live stream is going to be. We'll have the times for both morning games on there. We're going to be here for the first 4 or so hours of football.
Yeah, the first 2 games, it's Bears Lions, is it? And then your Giants? The Giants. Hang on. Starting in week 1, let's be positive about this. The Giants had no shot against the Cowboys in anyone's mind in week 1. I'm sure a lot of the Circa Survivor picks, because Thanksgiving's a separate week, right, for Circa? A lot of teams probably saved the Cowboys as their team to beat the Giants. And if they did that, they probably made the adjustment already. But the bottom line is, will the Giants perhaps be a favorite? I don't know. Could they be a favorite in Big D? I
feel like they will be, but it's also going to depend if they finally pull the trigger and just sit Danny Dimes on his butt. And also, now we're in the 3 spot for the picks. It would be very Giant-like to win this game by the Cowboys for literally no reason and then move further down. But you know what? Look at the quarterbacks who have gone number 1 in the past few years. When you get that quarterback at 3, 4, or 5, those are the ones who are panning out over the number 1 picks.
Well, right now the Bears kind of have some buyer's remorse for their number 1 pick.
Exactly. But that's been a trend for the Bears.
We'll discuss more about that. But yeah,
eons.
Stay tuned on Thanksgiving Day. We'll be there for both games, live streaming, answering your questions, interacting with everybody.
Make sure you subscribe. That way you don't miss notification. If you haven't subscribed yet, come on. You're clicking on the video. Just do the deed. Hit the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button. Tune in on Thanksgiving Day live stream. We're going to have a lot of fun, and it'll be great.
But we still have a couple more weeks of who knows what the hell kind of football. So
this week is huge week because there's a lot of garbage games, but there's some key first place games. I mean, you got the Chiefs playing the Bills, and essentially a Bills loss would all but ensure that the Chiefs, short of a blow up, are going to be the number 1 home field advantage seed. Then you got the Ravens and the Steelers. Steelers are ahead of the Ravens at home, catching some shade as they are underdogs at home with a better record. So this is going to be decided. Packers Bears, of course, always a fun one. Good. Oh, and of course, Thursday Night Football. Last year Thursday Night Football was terrible, remember? This year we've had some good games. This one's going to be a huge one. Commanders at Eagles. Essentially for first place, and hope of both teams to still maintain and keep up with Detroit for that number 1 seed potentially.
All right, well, Jason does spoil all the good games, but then let's take a look at all the picks for week number 11. Let's start with that Thursday night game you just mentioned. You already buried the lead, so why don't you just go ahead and lead right into it? And that is going to be the Washington Commanders sitting at 7-3 versus the Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 7-2 because they got their bye week already. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites as of Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, big game. I mean, last week I did pick the upset. I said that the Steelers would go ahead and come into Washington and win that game, and it was a shocker for a lot of people. I felt good about it. I thought that the Commanders had a mismatch, their tackle against TJ Watt and the defense, and I felt like without having Brian Robinson Jr. there, it was going to be a problem. This week, the Commanders-Eagles, this is a huge game. The Eagles, they're on a nice little run win streak-wise. Came off their bye a while back. Saquon Barkley didn't have too big of a game last week. He's going to be pumped up in Philadelphia for this one. The Commanders are having their magical year right now. I mean, worst to first. Now they're in second. Jaden Daniels has been great. He showed some issues last week, though. I mean, he didn't do as much. That Steeler team I don't know. Did they expose something? I don't know. We'll see this week. Division battle, 3.5 points. You get 3 for being at home. The hook's never fun. This Eagles team has so much firepower, and I think the defense has kind of righted the ship a little bit. The Eagles defense early on was pretty disastrous, and they've improved since the season's gone on. It's come to Nick Sirianni. Man, kick extra points and field goals, my man. Kick points. I mean, really, the Eagles' biggest problem right now is their coach. And if he's going to blow up the team because he makes poor choices going for it and fourth down when he should kick 2-point conversions that don't make any sense. That being said, this Eagles team's at home. They're on fire. Saquon Barkley is going to smash, and this Commanders team is going to fall short. We're going to take the Eagles -3.5. We're going to take it to the bank all day long. It's going to be a Thursday domination station. Take the Eagles -3.5. Fly, Eagles, fly. Sorry, Jaden Daniels. You're a great quarterback with a big future, but it's going to be a rough day for you in Philadelphia.
Let's start with I'm laughing because from my eyesight, I'm going to read it as I can see it. We're going to start with the Green Bay Packers sitting at 6-3 against the Chicago Bears sitting at 4-5. That's the way I see it, and I'm sure you have no complaints about me insulting the Bears and calling them a bunch of wild pigs. But the Packers are 6-point favorites on the road against the Bears. And after this last week's game with the Bears, not too surprising that they're getting at least a solid touchdown and missed kick.
It's painful to be a Bears fan. I feel literally at this point, I feel sorry for you.
When have you not felt sorry for Bears fans though? At
this point, I mean, they have all this hope every year. Number 1 pick, quarterback. They had a top pick in receiver. Got all these free agent receivers come across, but in the end, they're just hired guns. They don't consider themselves a Chicago Bear. They consider themselves a paycheck, and they're playing like it. For one reason or another, the Bears fired their offensive coordinator. But in the end, I think the writing's on the wall. I think they're going to fire the head coach after this year. I think they're going to fire everybody. But in the end, who should be fired is the person that chose to draft Caleb Williams, okay? Because that's just crazy. I mean, I'm just happy for Jaden Daniels. He didn't go to the Bears because we don't want to ruin that sort of talent. Because let's be clear, if Patrick Mahomes played for the Chicago Bears, Patrick Mahomes would not be Patrick Mahomes, without a doubt. The Packers coming off a bye. They are the Chicago Bears' daddy. The Bears have not won against the Packers since 2018. 6 points is a lot in division battle. This is one of these games that I have friends I guarantee that are just chomping and hoping at the bit. Somehow the Bears come in and beat Green Bay. It can't happen. It won't happen. The Green Bay Packers -6 all day long. They're going to get it done. We don't need to even talk any more details about it. You've seen what the Bears have been doing. Green Bay's coming off a bye. Matt LaFleur is going to have them ready. Take the Green Bay Packers -6. Take it to the bank. In the event the Bears actually win this game, I ain't buying no Bear gear. But I'm telling you right now, if the Packers end up losing to the Bears, I'll wear whatever Bear gear someone throws at me on Tuesday. But it's not going to happen. You can take that to the bank as well.
Here's one of those games that really doesn't have any implication, but we got to put a pick on this one. Cleveland Browns at 2-7 versus the New Orleans Saints, who shouldn't have won last week, sitting at 3-7. And the Saints are a whole 1-point favorite against the Browns.
This game's a dumpster fire. I mean, obviously, the Saints are favored because the Browns are just that bad, I guess. I don't know. The Saints showed some light. The MVS came in and had 2 touchdowns and looked really good.
Welcome back to your career, I guess, for Scantling.
I mean, the Saints are without any receivers that they had to start the year. The Saints are going to get this win. I think the Saints get the win. They're favored by 1. The Browns are just that bad. And I just think the Browns are going to mail it in. The Saints have a little bit to play for yet. At home, that'll be the difference. Saints -1. Boom.
Give me the LA Rams sitting at 4-5 versus the New England Patriots sitting at 3-7. Rams are 4.5-point favorites, and they're coming off of beaten by the Dolphins, trying to keep their season alive, still chasing the Bills.
Yeah, no one had any faith in the Dolphins. They thought the Rams were going to beat the Dolphins, and I never thought that 1 second. I knew the Dolphins were going to win that game and have no problem, even though few turnovers on each side made it a little bit challenging and dicey early. The Patriots, though, their rookie looks pretty good. Comes in, beats up the Chicago Bears in Chicago. No one expected that. The Patriots find this way to win these games that you wouldn't think they'd win, and then they play really bad. Like they beat the Bengals. They have Drake May at quarterback. He's been solid. But the Rams have this offense, this running game, and these receivers that are so solid. Matt Stafford is playing well. It's a tricky game, but I'm going to give the edge to the Rams. We're going to take the Rams minus 4.5. They're going to get it done just because they have too much firepower. They're still very much in the hunt for the playoffs, being that their division is super mediocre from top to bottom. Rams get it done, 4.5. Boom.
Here's one of those big matchups you mentioned earlier in the beginning, the Cleveland Ravens. That's not correct at all. I'm getting there. That's where they used to be.
The Cleveland.
It used to be. They became the Ravens. So whatever drugs I'm on, I need a new prescription. It is the Baltimore Ravens sitting at 7-3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, sitting at 7-2, led by Russell Wilson still. And the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites right now.
Talk about just insulting the Steeler team. I get it. I thought the Steelers were going to have a winning record this year. And
well, they have to. It's Mike Tomlin. He doesn't lose.
Right, exactly. So I thought that they could, their ceiling was like 10 wins probably. The Steelers are exceeding expectation. And Russell Wilson, this guy, he's pulling George Pickens' career right up the ladder. I mean, he's throwing it up like these lollipops, and George Pickens is like making these great catches. This team looks good on all aspects of the ball. Special teams, defense, offense, everything. The Ravens escaped again from the Bengals. I mean, literally the Bengals were up 10 points in the first matchup in the fourth quarter, and the Ravens pulled it out. Now the Bengals were up 14 points, and the Ravens steal this one on a poor decision to go for 2 when they should have kicked the extra point, I believe. And here we are. Big game, and we're going to take the Steelers all day long. I'm going to take the 3.5 all day long. Give me the points at home with the hook, because the Steelers very well will upset, because this Ravens team defensively against the pass is terrible. They can guard the run pretty well, and they protect against the run, but the passing game is a problem for the Ravens. And I think if the defense can do a better job than Cincinnati did against the Ravens, Steelers get to win at home, and the terrible towels are going to be waving wild as the Steelers plus 3.5 all day long. Take it to the bank. Boom.
2 games ago, you mentioned them. Here's another team still fighting for their career. The Las Vegas Raiders, not them, at the Miami Dolphins. Raiders sitting at 2-7. The Dolphins at 3-6. Not what we expected from the Dolphins, but when the Dolphins, 7.5-point favorites at home against our beloved Las Vegas Raiders.
I mean, the Dolphins 3-6, they're still in the hunt. Figure that 9-8 can get a playoff spot. That's probably like a wild card spot potentially. Raiders are just the Raiders. I said they're the joke of the NFL, and they continue to be. I think that whole entire coaching staff is going to be wiped out by next year. They're going to be retooling everything again, starting over again. But this Dolphins team, who is so talented, their injury situations and their defensive situations where they played poorly, but the defense looked great last night. They can continue that sort of play. They're going to be a tough team to beat, holding the Rams to field goals all night long. This Raider team has no one, no quarterback, no running game, and no heart. 7.5 points is a lot of points to give a team that's 3-6 to be a favorite. But you know what? The Dolphins are going to roll, and we're going to take it to the bank all day long. The Dolphins minus 7.5 are going to take the Raiders to the absolute woodshed and spank them all day long. What do you think about that, Michael?
I think I still hate the Raiders. Here's a game where the entire team might not go for 200 yards. And you look at it first, you're like, oh, this game has no point existing. But then I'm looking at the numbers. Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-8. At the Detroit Lions, 8-1. The Lions are giving up 13 points in this one.
The Jaguars played well against the Vikings, or was it because Sam Darnold was so bad last week? I mean, the man was throwing interception after interception.
But he threw 5.
He threw 3.
Well, he was better than Jared Goff.
And they were
say it that way.
He was better. This is a tough one because that's a lot of points in the NFL. 13 is so many points.
You know why I hate 13 too? Because you get a situation where, let's say they're covering it by 17 and there's 4 minutes left in the game. Maybe I stole your thunder, but
right.
defense doesn't want to get scored on, but if they give up a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, they're still up by 9. They're not going to lose the game.
Right.
We're going to lose the bets because of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it's a 13-point spread, if Jacksonville puts up, like, say, 13 points, you're talking about they automatically have to score around 30 to cover. And they should. But still, I mean, I can tell you right now, if the Jacksonville Jaguars start out 7-0 in this one, you're feeling pretty good having a 20-point lead, spread-wise. That being said, the Lions at home should be able to run all over this team. Jared Goff was terrible in this game. Everyone will tell you that. He'll tell you that. But this Jacksonville team is broken. And on the road, the only question is will the Lions kind of, after their big win and a short week, will they kind of like olay it a little bit? I think they won't. Dan Campbell has these guys fired on all cylinders. He's treating it like every game is important and every game is key. He's going to keep this team on the up for this one. The Lions are going to cover the 13 points. It's tough. If you stay away from betting this game, not a bad option. But if you're going to take it, there's no way I'm taking Jacksonville in Detroit. Take the Lions minus 13 to cover.
Still can't get you to give me a skull, I think, on this. Ever? No, never again. Okay, you'll bear down, but you won't skull. Minnesota Vikings at 7-2, sitting in second place in the division against the Tennessee Titans with the inverse record of 2-7. Vikings on the road, 6-point favorites. Just mentioned Sam Darnold and his bad game, so this is maybe a get-right game or start of the downfall.
Before last week's start of week 10, I would have said that the Vikings would have no problem covering 6 points. And I thought the 4-point spread against Jacksonville wasn't enough. And it was a little bit low, but it turned out they just covered that 4 last week against Jacksonville. Now it's 6 points against a very poorly coached Titans team. The battle of the coaching definitely goes to Minnesota. Quarterback play is closer than it should be. I would have said that Sam Darnold, the way he had been playing, yes, he's still 7-2. But the way he had been playing early, I thought it wouldn't be close. Now, Sam Darnold, the last 3 games, has managed to throw 6 interceptions, not particularly play well at all. And he's got no Aaron Jones this week, most likely as well, which is going to be a problem for the running game. But that being said, the Titans are just that bad. And I just don't have any faith in the Titans. As Vikings fans will tell you, they kind of expect this one to be a blow-up moment for them and to lose somehow when they should win these games. But I think the Vikings are going to pull it off. I probably would stay away from betting this game because I just don't know if you can trust what's going on in Minnesota right now. But I sure am not willing to jump on Tennessee, even getting a 6. So take the Vikings minus 6. They should cover it by a touchdown, barring Sam Darnold throwing 3 picks again.
Last one on Sunday morning, the Indianapolis Colts at 4-6, which is good and still for second place in their division, underneath the Houston Texans, at the New York Jets. Jets at home. I'm sorry, they're 3-7, and the Jets are 3.5-point favorites at home. I know the look on your face. The season's effectively over. Aaron Rodgers did not pan out. I don't know who you blame. I forgot to look. If I was betting, I swear with Wilson last year, they have more wins at this point in the season than they do now with Aaron Rodgers.
They did, I think.
It might have been 4.
2 years ago, they were
5.
6-4 with Wilson. And then last year they were 4-6, and now they're 3-7 with Rodgers.
Yeah,
this is disgust in my face. I took him as a take of the bank pick. I believed in this team, and I don't know who's to blame, me for actually believing in this team or the Jets for actually believing in Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure which one it is. I swore that I would not. The Jets were dead. But now they play the Colts, and Joe Flacco's not having the year he did last year as the Browns, and this team can't stay healthy. Jonathan Taylor looked good last week, but now they're in New York. I have to think the Jets are going to win this game, right, Mike? I mean, 3-7. Aaron Rodgers, remember his old, when he was a Packer? Hey, just relax, and he said they're going to run the tables, and they did. This defense is not what it should have been. I said it last week that it was a must-win for him, but right now, 3-7, like I said, the math is probably 9-8 because there's so many bad teams in the AFC. 9-8 should get in the playoffs. So really, they have cushion to lose one more. They're going to be, they need to run the tables at this point, and it's going to be pretty tough to do. But the Jets at home should be able to get this one done. Don't bet on it unless you're an absolute degen. But the Jets minus 3.5 They're going to get it done. They're going to get the win. I hate the hook. I hate the fact that they're favored by this much. I don't think they should be. Either Vegas is taunting us and putting these lines up that high because we're going to be as pickers, bettors, and handicappers suckers to take them. But I don't think it's a sucker play. I think the Jets -3.5 is the right way to go. The past does not always affect the future all the time. This is a must-win spot. They will do it at home. Jets -3.5. Boom.
All right, back to football in the afternoon at 1:05. We got Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers turning it around, snuck by this weekend, didn't get the cover, but they got the win for the fans of the 49ers. Seahawks are 4-5, 49ers are 5-4. 49ers are 6.5-point favorites at home.
49ers were another coster for us. I'm taking the bank pick wise. They missed 3 field goals. Moody came back. Welcome back, Moody, from injury to miss 3 field goals. 2 of them were like lollipops. Christian McCaffrey's back. He looked good. He had over 100 yards, all-purpose yards from scrimmage, passing and receiving and running. The Seahawks coming off a bye in a must-win situation for them as well because they've been skidding downhill. This is tough. But the big division battle, it's a lot of points. It's a lot of points being a division battle, but it is at home. DK Metcalf should be good to go, but he's still questionable, I believe, as of right now. Niners at home. McCaffrey is going to eat. This team is looking good. Purdy looked good last week. And the Niners are going to say, hey, enough of this playing dilly-dallying around. And they're going to get the cover. Take the Niners -6.5 to cover the spread in a huge division battle. Boom.
Coming off their loss this past Sunday, Atlanta Falcons, sitting with a 6-4 record, are going to travel to the Denver Broncos, sitting at 5-5, better than we expected before the season started. And the Broncos get the nod, being 2.5-point favorites at home here.
This is a surprising game on both fronts. I don't think the Broncos were expected to be where they're at. The Falcons are probably pretty much where they're supposed to be. It just can't keep happening. Once again, the Broncos somehow had their kick blocked, a 35-yarder, less than an extra point against the Chiefs to win. I called it. I said the Broncos were going to probably upset, but take the points, which we covered, and that was great. So now the Broncos, they're at home. Bo Nix is looking good. But the Falcons, they have a lot of talent. They're on the road. It's a little bit different game than being at home. But the Broncos are going to fall short. The rookie is going to fall to the veteran. Take the Falcons. +2.5. Take the points, and the Falcons are going to win outright. Bottom line, Falcons get it done. Broncos fall short, go to 5-6. Falcons go to 7-4. Boom.
Speaking of the Chiefs, let's get to it because, like you said in the beginning, this is the matchup of the week. This is probably the biggest matchup so far this season between any two teams. Kansas City Chiefs, 9-0, undefeated. Makes Jason sad. At the Buffalo Bills, 8-2. The 2 best records in the league, more or less, given the bye weeks. Bills, 2.5-point favorites against the Chiefs and the refs. Taylor Swift. And the Swifties and Mama Kelsey and Jason Kelsey eat his hot wings at Buffalo Wild Wings.
So I saw a stat. Let me pull it up so I get it. Patrick Mahomes is 12-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. It's gross. Pachenko is going to be activated off the IR. It sounds like he's going to play this week. Most likely we'll see. Because Nico Collins was supposed to play too, and he didn't play. These teams keep playing tiddlywinks and not sharing information when they really know who's going to play and not, because they're playing game. Chiefs at Bills. The Bills own the Chiefs in the regular season. We know that much. I don't know if Amari Cooper is going to play. He has a wrist injury. Dalton Kincaid got banged up. Questions that we don't know on a Tuesday. But what I do know is Patrick Mahomes is playing poorly. They played poorly against the Broncos, put 1 touchdown up against the Broncos. They didn't play great. They haven't been playing great most of the year, but they get wins. I understand it. Like my friend Sam says, they're winning. They're undefeated. He's undefeated. But how they win counts. How they win matters. And their luck is going to run out because this team is not a 9-0 team. And they're an insult to some of the great 9-0 teams like the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers came off of a Super Bowl victory and went 13-0. And I think they lost to the Chiefs as their one loss that year. Go figure. The Bills at home in a must-win game to have any shot of the number 1 seed. And the Chiefs are trying to block that because if the Chiefs get the win, they are all but guaranteed to have the number 1 seed. But guess what? Buckle up, people. The The Buffalo Bills are going to win this game all day long. Take it to the bank. Cash a check early, even if the funds aren't in there, because in the end, it's going to be nothing but money raining down from the skies. Chiefs fall. They fall hard. Listen to this moment. I'm not eating these words. The Chiefs are going to be going down hard. Buffalo, be happy. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. The Bills will be the number 1 seed by the end of the regular season. Take it to the bank. Boom, baby.
Sunday night, 5:20. The best 4-6 team in the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals, at the San Diego Chargers, who are 6-3, and the Chargers, if I'm reading this correctly, are 1.5-point favorites. The best team. You always say every week, whatever the record is, man. It's
they are the best 4-6 team, probably, right, Mike?
And somehow in the hunt.
Do they have to be? I mean, they got to be the best 4-6 team, right? I mean, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were all world, and yet they fell short. The Chargers are playing good football. Jim Harbaugh is Jim Harbaugh. I mean, the guy wins, and they're 6-3, and the Chargers are actually passing the ball pretty well too. I mean, their defense, he wants to preach running and defense. This is a tough game, but I think the Bengals with this offense, and they're kind of in a spot where they're in a must win. As long as the Bengals can play like they did last week, but not maybe give up as many points, which this offense is not the same. The Chargers are not going to put up that kind of offense. So the Bengals can get ahead. The Chargers are not really built to play from behind. So the Bengals, take the Bengals plus 1.5. They're going to get the upset on the road. Chargers fall, go to 6-4. Bengals go to 5-6 and keep playoff hope still.
Let's wrap it up. Monday night at 5:15 p.m. What I recommend is you wait 15 more minutes and you put on Monday Night Raw and watch some wrestling for 3 hours, because you will see more realistic battling going on than you've seen from the Cowboys all season. Shout out to WWE for always blocking our videos where we put clips in with no sound of wrestlers. I'm going to start using AEW clips instead because they cool.
Right.
Houston Texans, 6-4 at the America's team. They need a new team. The Dallas Cowboys, 3-6. Rush is still going to start,
yes,
I believe.
Rush. Yep.
So the Texans win by 40. Take it to the bank. Texans minus 7.5, which sounds too low.
Well, Dak Prescott's done for the year. It's official.
Yes, he had the surgery, right?
He's going to have the surgery. He'll be out a good 3 months. Mike McCarthy should be fired yesterday. He didn't renew his contract. They're not going to renew his contract.
Was there ever a time you liked Mike McCarthy?
I like Mike McCarthy in the early Packer years. I remember when he became the head coach. I'm like, who the heck's this freaking guy?
Yeah.
I knew he was coming from San Francisco and whatever, and he was solid. But the thing is the game has passed him by. He's too vanilla. He just doesn't have it anymore, and his career is probably done. I mean, I don't think Mike McCarthy gets a head coaching job anywhere.
Well, Dak can maybe lend him some money. Maybe we'll trade him a year.
Maybe he can. Yeah, I mean, Mike McCarthy doesn't have money issues.
$60 million for Dak Prescott, and you get 8 games and 3 wins out of it. Sorry, let's get to the game.
Yeah.
Texans, Cowboys. I'm going to drink.
Bottom line, though, McCarthy's going to probably be fired. The Texans were looking really good, but then they end up losing to a team that they get. I mean, how many teams lose when 5 interceptions, 5 defensive interceptions, and they still lose the game at home? This Texans team is going to hopefully get Nico Collins back. We're hoping for a fantasy team. The Battle of Dallas. The Battle of Texas is going on Monday Night Football, and literally nobody cares outside of the people in Texas, because this game is, it's important for the Texans. They're going to get the win. Definitely not a take it to the bank pick. I do recommend probably watching WWE Wrestling Monday Night Raw instead, but in the end, the Texans, they're going to cover the 7.5. That's a lot of points, but the Cowboys, another team that is lacking heart right now, and their coach is writings on the wall. He's going to be fired. Cowboys fall to 3-7. Texans minus 7.5. You guys enjoy week 11, and we'll see you next week. Until then, take it to the bank. Boom.